Hello and welcome back to another news video for Final Fantasy XIV. This then is in regards to the Xbox version becoming unresponsive and many other issues. So of course the early access for Dawntrail has gone pretty smoothly from a PC player's perspective, in my opinion, but of course some platforms have had some hitches and interesting situations on all platforms actually, but most notably the consoles. So this is Yoshi P saying, hello everyone, producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV here. He says, firstly I would like to thank everyone who has been playing Dawntrail since the start of early access. However, I would like to offer my sincere apologies regarding the issues that we have identified and listed below. Please let me explain the status of the investigation behind their causes and the measures we plan to take to address them. So first of all, there's that issue within the Xbox version where it becomes unresponsive when you transition between areas. He says, we have confirmed an issue in the Xbox version where the game client may become unresponsive when transitioning between locations, such as field areas and cities. Our preliminary investigation suggests that this issue is likely due to a phenomenon known as memory fragmentation. We're currently conducting a comprehensive investigation into the matter, which we have prioritized to ensure a swift resolution. However, rectifying the issue requires the deployment of a patch to update the client. This process involves rigorous checks by our QA team, among other procedures, which means it may take several days to address. We are working to expedite the release of this patch at the earliest possible opportunity. However, we regret to say that this process will require some time. We sincerely apologize, he says, for the inconvenience this causes and appreciate your patience and understanding as we work to address the issue. The likelihood of encountering memory fragmentation is reduced when playing on worlds with relatively low populations due to the lower chances of encountering large numbers of characters on screen at the same time. Until we have resolved this issue, we kindly suggest you consider playing on either the Dynamis, Shadow or Oceanic data centers. So that's basically going to require a big patch. It's going to take a few days. They are prioritizing it though, and when they prioritize things at Square Enix, they usually get around to it very quickly, especially if it's affecting, next to a launch of the game. So unfortunately for Xbox players, you might have to consider playing on a lower pop server, and of course you can, on your character select screen, right click or subcommand right your subcommand button on your character and visit another data center, and that's how you would do that. Next then, an issue in the Dragon Song's Reprise Ultimate, Shinryu's Domain and Delibram Regine Savage, where mechanics related to freezing are not functioning correctly. The problem bears similarity to the issue involving bosses in the Circus Tower Alliance raid, which have now been resolved. So if you didn't know, Amon had this curtain call mechanic, if you remember, from Circus Tower, where he would place these ice crystals and you would have to stand behind them before the cast of curtain call finishes or you would die. That was actually wiping people on day one. It has been fixed, however, but there are still issues similar to that with some other fights, as they've mentioned. However, in order to guarantee stable and effective solutions to these, we are planning to implement the fix through a client patch. So this affects all versions of the game, so if they're going to make a patch, it'll probably coincide with the Xbox one at the same time, right? They'll consolidate the solutions into one, so it'll probably take a few days, and they don't actually give an estimate beyond that. Also, there was an issue with the display and animations of certain characters. They say, we've identified an issue that affects aspects of certain playable races during the execution of certain emotes and the Scholar Action Seraphism, which is the angel ability where you turn into an angel. The cause is a result of incorrect values being input for the corresponding parts during fine-tuning of the graphical update and other fixes. Despite our efforts to correct and fine-tune the graphics in the final moments before the release of Dawntrail, these issues were unfortunately identified late in the process. I would like to apologize for this. So, in short, Xbox players are having a tough time. Obviously certain fights, certain high-end fights, especially Dragon Song's Reprise on Ultimate, that's a biggie. All of those things, the boss mechanics aren't really working properly. To do with ice mechanics, I'm not really sure why it's ice mechanics specifically, But yeah, that's something to avoid for the time being. And of course, certain characters and animations, which is something you would typically see from a large patch or an expansion, animation problems, things like that. This is a much bigger issue, though, with the Xbox version, and hopefully they expedite that solution soon. There is also one that's not on this list, where the PlayStation version, PS5 specifically, where it's basically registering a countdown timer for the early access again. So some people who are playing the previous day can't play today because suddenly there's this the countdown timer starts again to early access and they can't log back in. I believe they're working on a fix to that, or they might have already fixed that, but that's another thing as well. Like I say, the console versions have got the short straw, unfortunately, this time around, and there have been some minor but still impactful problems across all platforms. Apart from that, though, in my opinion, the launch has gone quite smoothly. So he says, the aforementioned issues are being classified as a high priority. They are under investigation on our development server and are being addressed in a systematic manner. We're considering the release of a hotfix, which is likely to occur sometime this week, which would be accompanied by a brief maintenance period. So they might need to have maintenance for this patch, which is interesting on a launch week of the game. I would like to extend my apologies once again for the occurrence of these issues. Rest assured, Yoshi P says, we are committed to addressing these issues, such as these, that occur after the release of an expansion, and will continue to promptly correct any urgent issues that may arise. Yoshi P, producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV. Again, this is perfectly understandable. It is interesting to me, though, why ice specifically has been the issue this time around. Something has happened on the back end, and I would love to know in extra detail if they want to do a write-up, and it just be from a theoretical point of view, what could even cause those issues with ice mechanics. Very strange. Anyway, that's what they're doing. They're aware of some of the issues. And of course, if you don't see your issue listed on here, there is a good likelihood that they probably know about it. But if they do not, please use the report feature, the support system, put in a ticket, submit your bug reports, and help make Dawntrail even better than it already is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Link to this in the description. Enjoy Dawntrail if you can, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.